Time now for US media superstar Megyn Kelly, and Russell Brand's cancellation over historical sex assault claims has seen an important clip of Margaret Thatcher go viral where she warns about the inherent dangers of trial by media.
A court of law is the place where you deal with these matters. If you ever get trial by television or guilt by accusation, that day freedom dies.
Brand, of course, has not yet been found guilty of any crimes, but the BBC has already started removing his content from its iPlayer service. YouTube, meanwhile, has demonetised his online videos, depriving him of a reported £1 million a year in ad revenue. So, Megyn, look, this has been a highly divisive issue on both sides of the Atlantic. You think it's important not to condemn either the accusers or Brand until due process has taken place?
Correct. I have no desire to see Russell Brand's life dismantled and his ability to earn a living taken away from him based on allegations that are 10 years old, that have not been investigated by a court of law or any legal officer or in any legal proceeding. You know, not to take anything away from these reporters, but I think that there should be a higher standard before we take a man's living away. However, we cannot go from the absurdity of believe all women, which was never the right way, into the absurdity of believe no women. And that's what we're now doing. And so people need to take a pause before they resort to the knee jerk. He didn't do it because he's an alternative media voice. He didn't do it because he's on our side. And I hate to see conservatives who, for the most part, Dan, are supposed to eschew celebrity culture, act like lapdogs to Russell Brand just because he's winked at their side.
Isn't the issue, Megyn, the fact that actually there's been such a pile-on without any form of independent investigation? I mean, he's had his shows
I don't agree with that
cancelled,
characterization.
he's been dropped by his publishing company, and now YouTube say they can keep his videos up, but he can't make any money from them.
I disagree with the YouTube move entirely. They should allow his fans to have access to him. This is the I can't say that word, but it's the democracy version of the internet. Like, why YouTube's virtue signaling with this? His fans should have access to him, and he should not be deprived of his ability to make a living. However, it is not correct to say that there's been no independent investigation of this. These people, these three news organizations, are not on the take. Two of them have to essentially investigate themselves as a result of this, because they were employing him for part of the time. They have no incentive, really, to out the fact that he was doing some of these allegedly bad things while working for them. Do you know how much effort, Dan, it takes for this kind of reporting, the number of reporters that are on this and the years-long investigation to convince an alleged victim to hand over her rape crisis center documents and therapy notes and get the doctors to talk to you and get the text messages? I've covered these stories. It takes a lot. Now, that doesn't mean everyone has to condemn Russell Brand and decide that they're 100% true. You know, the rape allegation, which is one of the most serious, if you drill down on the text message exchange between this woman and Russell, you could walk away concluding that what she was angry about was that they had sex without a condom, not rape, as we truly understand that word. She says it was rape, and she went to the rape crisis center the next day and has a very charged, angry exchange with Russell on the text. But I would not say that there's no evidence. I would just say there's enough for us to be suspicious of what he did, and we should wait. Look, we've seen trial by media fail time after time. Take a look at the Michael Jackson, quote, documentary, which was nothing of the kind, Finding Neverland. It went on HBO, and guess what we saw? If you took 1 minute to dig, you found out that one of the main accusers in that had lied under oath in a civil litigation against Michael Jackson about writing a book again about him, and only got caught when Michael Jackson's estate lawyers went to all the publishing houses and found the draft document, the draft book that had been submitted by this guy. He lied when asked by the Michael Jackson lawyers, did you ever submit a book? No, never. You never heard about that, did you? Because the medias wouldn't report on that. They just wanted to condemn Michael Jackson.
And I think that's a really good example. Yeah, and I think that documentary is a really good example, Megyn, because I was completely snookered by it. I was taken in. I took it on face value. And I have huge regrets about that now, Megyn. And so all I'm concerned about is that was Channel 4, this is Channel 4. In this case, the accusers, I think it's important that we don't describe them as victims or survivors, because at this point they are accusers.
Accusers is the right word.
And they are anonymous, Megyn. From what we're told, Channel 4 also didn't provide the names of the accusers to Russell Brand. I agree with you.
Right, but let's face
it, Dan,
a lot of this stuff
is terrible. Of course it's terrible. But I think there needs to be a process, and it's fascinating hearing Thatcher, actually, because she's right, isn't she? She's right. It's a very dangerous society when the media is the judge, jury, and executioner.
Trial by media does not work. But I'm just going to say this, okay? And look, I am very open-minded to proof that he didn't do any of this, as I just demonstrated with my Michael Jackson and Woody Allen controversial statements, okay? I don't really care if it turns out that the rape charge or the sexual assault charges fall apart. You're 31 years old and you have sex allegedly over a 3-month period with a 16-year-old. We're done. I'm unsubscribing, all right? And I am sick of conservatives online trying to defend that as though she had a role in it. She was a minor. Just because you can't be prosecuted for it doesn't mean it's right. The conservative men I know are lovely. They're ethical. They're honorable. It's not to say they've never fallen down in their lives, but in no world would they be taking advantage of a 16-year-old minor. I have a daughter who's 4 years away from that. You come anywhere near her as a 31-year-old man, and we are going to have a serious problem. And it's not going to be over whether you get demonetized on YouTube. Yes. I really hope my friends on the conservative side of the aisle would remember, just because we're all over Me Too and it was an overreaction and it went too far and it got politicized, doesn't mean that we have to knee-jerk defend every scumbag who gets accused of bad behavior.
No, indeed. It is a very nuanced argument, and thank you for bringing that nuance to it, because unfortunately, as you say, it's been missing in a lot of the coverage, I would say, on both sides of it. So, Megyn Kelly, thank you so much. There's much more of this, by the way, from Megyn on the brilliant Megyn Kelly Show, which you can find on YouTube and as a podcast. Thank you, Megyn. We'll speak next week.